Don in California, you're on with Katie and Matt. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. I thought I could get through this, but I'm not quite sure I can.
All right.
After my son died, I just realized that atheists, we don't have the structures that religious people have when something like this happens. You know, we
So first of all, I'm very sorry to hear about your son.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How? I want to make sure we help however we can, but I honestly, please continue. I don't know what to say. I don't want to trample over it.
Yeah, don't force yourself.
We don't have God to scream at and ask why. And we don't have any chance to. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It's okay.
See him again. Okay. The religious people have all these structures, and they seem ridiculous until this happens. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, Don. I'm sorry. So first of all, like always, I'm going to recommend that you reach out to like Secular Therapist Project, and Grief Beyond Belief in particular is an organization that is, its entire purpose is to help secular people deal with grief. You don't have to have a God or a God belief to scream out in futility. Screaming at the universe about why does this happen is exactly as productive as screaming at a God as to why this happens, because neither one of them are going to answer you, and neither one of them actually cared. It is absolutely like I'm going to have difficulty finding any words, but you can scream at the universe. You can scream into the void. That can be cathartic. But yes, if you're looking at the fact that religions provide comfort where a lack of religion doesn't provide comfort, you are correct. But I would point out that the comfort that religions often provide is false comfort. It's a lie. It is to pretend that God needed a new angel, or God had a plan, or there was something for which God needed your precious child more than you did. And everything about it is vile and disgusting and diminishes the value of life here. And I cannot derive any comfort from that. And I understand to some extent, I haven't lost a child, but I understand to some extent your frustration at not having a ready-made answer or something that's going to make you feel better. And maybe the reason is, go ahead.
Those kind of promises are very seductive.
Yeah.
And I understand why I think that's why a lot of people are attracted to a religion. But
I think you're right.
Very seductive thought.
I think you're right about that being an appealing part of religion, because it's so much nicer to think that the people that we've loved to have died are not gone, that they're somewhere else waiting for us. That's incredibly appealing. But what it ultimately ends up doing is it makes us devalue the one and only life we know we're going to get. It makes it so that there's not an incentive to treat people right the first time, to settle rifts. Like, if I had a rift between me and my parents, I would want to fix that as quickly as possible, because after they're dead, there's no opportunity for me to fix that. And yet their religion tells them, it can wait till you get to heaven, everything will be fine there. And their religion's even telling them that I'm going to be in hell and they're not going to be sad about that, which is bizarre. So,
yeah. Well,
do you have, are you alone in dealing with this?
No, I have my wife. And actually, our friends and families have been reaching out, and that's very nice. I just wanted to point out, I mean, like in Judaism, they have the sitting
Shiva.
Sitting Shiva, yes, and it just seems that religion probably sprang originally out of those kinds of rituals. But at a time like this, it's difficult for secularists.
Yeah.
And you say that believing in an afterlife diminishes the life we have, but I don't want to diminish his life, as short as it was.
I mean, you're not diminishing his life.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah, like grieving is, and it's an important step, and it doesn't take anything. That it's a natural response, and it's important to do, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it or anything like that. I know one of the things you said earlier in the call was about like the structures around it, and like it sounds like you're lucky to have your wife and your friends and family. I guess one thing I might suggest, I've never been through anything like this, but one thing I might suggest is finding other people who have, and there will be other atheists out there who have dealt with things like this, and sometimes just sharing with them can, you meet someone else who personally understands this, and they have been through, if there are people who might have been through this 10 years ago, and it's good to see them, you can carry on with your life and, remember the memory and get all of the joy and amazingness of your child, in the memory form, and move on with that and remember all those great things. And, you can get that sort of structure from talking to other people who have been through it.
Don, I don't want to make you uncomfortable by asking specifics about how your son died or how old he was or anything else, because it almost doesn't matter. I cannot fully, as someone who doesn't have kids, I can't fully grasp. All I can do is try my best to imagine what it would be like to lose my niece, nephew, my brother, my mom, any of those things. And it doesn't give me the insight that's needed. But you're right that religions provide a sort of framework and structure for this, and right down to the community aspect of, we'll help you with the funeral and we'll bring food over and have a wake at your place so that you don't have to do it. We are working to build secular communities that are more robust, that will have the capacity to do those sorts of things. We're at a slight disadvantage because of the privileged position that religions have had throughout the years. But we're doing better and getting closer. And I know that none of that matters at all while you're actually grieving. And I would just remind you that the fact that you're grieving the loss of your son shows not just that you cared, but shows the value of his life to you and your family and the people around you, to show that even in the absence of religious belief, you love, you value, you care, and to the point where it's debilitating to lose someone that you love and value and care about. Calls like this, and thank you for being brave enough to drive through tears to make this point. Religious people need to know this. Yeah, there's a lot of phone calls about, I can prove God, or you need to read the Bible again, from people who haven't even read it once. That type of stuff they're potentially important conversations about getting to the truth. But these types of calls are the ones that get to the truth about who we are, how religions have exploited us, how religions provide false comfort in bad times and troubling times, and how we as human beings need to build the sort of communities and to build the structures that make sure that someone like you has a good community around them. And it sounds like you have a number of wonderful people in your life that have been very helpful within your family. So I'm encouraged about that. But it's always a good reminder that we can do more.
Yes, I do have that, and I'm thankful for it. I just, I feel like I'm, not by anybody in particular, but by life, I'm being asked to rise to a stature that I can't attain.
Yeah. And I have no expertise here. I'm going to keep recommending that you reach out to Grief Beyond Belief and other organizations, because I mean, I don't know how long ago did this happen? Are you still early in the process?
6 weeks ago.
Wow. I can tell you this. I have a really hard time putting myself in this situation. I don't think I'd be in any kind of shape to go picking up a phone and call in and talk about this issue after 6 weeks. I don't know for sure, but I'm grateful for your bravery and your passion in being willing to talk about this. I can't think of a thing that would honor your son more than maybe waking some people up to the fact that the godless aren't just Satan's monsters trying to destroy God's perfect Merca or something silly like that, that we are in fact real people with real jobs and real lives and real passions and real people that we care about. And when we lose those people, we not only don't have the comforting lie to cling to, we have each other. And that's the best we can hope for. Like if I lost someone, having you, Don, tell me how you went through something similar and came out the other side okay is going to be infinitely more useful than some jackass in my family saying God needed another angel, or all things happen for a purpose and God's ways are not our ways, and he's a big old fucking mystery, and why he feels free to willy-nilly slaughter people in order to teach somebody else a lesson is beyond me. I hope that if anything like this happens to me, that I have half of the strength that you have after 6 weeks. I'm incredibly sorry for your loss, and we are grateful and honored that you called in to mention this.
Well, thank you. Thanks for taking my call, and and thanks for pointing me toward Grief Beyond Belief. I'll look into that. Thank you.
Absolutely, Don. Thanks. And call us back. Let us know if that was helpful for you. If you would recommend other people, contact Grief Beyond Belief, or the Psychotherapist Project. And the lessons that you learn going forward are going to be useful to the broader atheist community, because you are far from alone in being the only person, dealing with this. It's going to happen over and over and over again. And people like you are going to be the ones that, while we don't need a religion, we definitely need communities, and we need communities full of people who can say, hey, I've been there and I know it's fucking terrible now, but I'm optimistic that things will improve for you and everybody around us. But I don't know. Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don.
I'd give you the biggest hug in the world if you were standing here with me, even though we're still in a pandemic. So yeah, take care of yourself.
These days.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Oh, I'm halfway vaccinated. Let me get my other vaccine. I'll come out to California and hang out with you and give you a hug once we get through the pandemic.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, as a reminder, there's a number of organizations that we recommend on a regular basis, including Recovering from Religion, the Psychotherapist Project. Grief Beyond Belief probably doesn't get mentioned often enough, and I don't know what the current state of that organization is. So I'm hope that I'm not directing someone to something that's kind of stagnated. So if you are involved with Grief Beyond Belief and you know what the current status is, give us a call. Let us know.